Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Very Biased Opinions. It is another round of League One predictions. We're getting there. It's up to week 44. Dare I say, must win. That fabled word's finally coming true at this point of the season. But without wasting any more time, we're going to jump straight into this with a big match to kick us off. Lincoln City versus Hull City.
Lincoln City are resurgent. That little flutter of form hasn't hurt them too much. Michael Appleton has righted the ship. They're right back in the playoffs hunt. They look like they've fallen out of the chance of getting automatic promotion. But Hull, they had a blip, which I think you predicted happening.
Yeah, a blip. It's not too big of a blip. I mean, it worked out quite well for them because Peterborough lost. So they did get an extra point ahead of them. And a 2-2 draw against Sunderland is not the worst result in the world. But yeah, Lincoln pretty much cemented themselves in a playoff now with those 3 wins in a row. I would say they could even afford, even if they lost this one, it's no big deal to lose to the league leaders at this stage. They can brush it off and still be safe that they've got plenty of points in the bank over the other sides. I think this one might be another draw. Lincoln are really hard to beat, and now they've gone back to their old ways at the start of the season. I think this one's going to be 1-1.
I am going to continue to back Hull because, I don't know, I can't find any way not to. I think that they'll edge this 2-1. It's Charlton Athletic versus Peterborough United.
Arguably the biggest winners and somewhat the biggest losers on Tuesday night, although there's a few other sides that could claim that crown. But Charlton, what an amazing 6-0 win. Where did it come from? All those goals that we talk about, how they don't score, they saved it up for this one. I think it was 6 different goal scorers as well, so shared the goals around in the battering of Plymouth Argyle. And they've got into that 6th place now, and they look the ones who are most likely to get it with the games in hand that they have too. Peterborough didn't do me any favours, losing 1-0 to Gillingham. I don't know where that result came from. What a result for the Gills after they lost to Oxford in that fashion that they did. And luckily Hull didn't win, so that doesn't mean Peterborough's title aspirations are not fully done yet, but they need to win this one, you would say. And you know I need to back Peterborough. I have to because of my bet. So somehow, somewhere, and I want Charlton to lose. I need them to lose for personal reasons. Charlton 1, Peterborough 3.
Yeah, a fantastic result for Charlton, as you said. Peterborough, it feels like every time Hull slip up, Peterborough do something worse just to give them that extra inch of space. It does look like Hull will win the league over Peterborough, but you're right, you need them to win. Equally, the battle for 6th place right now in the playoffs is a bit like the battle for 4th place in the Premier League, where it's almost like who can perform worse than the other teams and somehow still make it. God knows, every week is a change. I mean, I've got Peterborough winning this. I'd say, what was your scoreline, Ian?
I said 3-1 to the Posh.
I'll go 3-0 in that case.
A couple of people that definitely didn't luck out on Tuesday. Portsmouth versus Bristol Rovers.
Are Portsmouth out of the playoff race? Because a loss to the team that cannot be named is absolutely devastating. They've been on a terrible run of form to end the season. They dropped out the playoff places already. We talked about it on the live streams. We talked about it enough times. They're definitely good enough to be in the playoffs. They should be battling for automatic promotion. Equally, Bristol Rovers had the chance to kind of gain some ground, and they didn't. It's been a devastating week for both of them.
Devastating, yeah. Portsmouth have to win this. Well, both sides are looking at this now where they have to win it, and you'd have to say that favours Pompey a lot more than it favours Bristol Rovers. I do not know where this Portsmouth form has come from. The goals have dried up. The form has gone. It is, talk about peaking at the right time. They've actually fallen off a cliff at the wrong time of the season. And they look almost, you would back Oxford or Charlton or maybe even another club to finish above them now. You just don't see where they're going to turn it around. This game's probably come at the best time for them to play Bristol Rovers, who look like they're down for all intents and purposes. It's only a matter of time, you would think. And I imagine we're both going to be back in Pompey, but I'll let you throw your score in first.
I think this is going to be a really narrow victory. I don't trust Pompey at all. I think when they finally get a win, it's going to be gritty. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Pompey.
Yeah, I'm going to go for 2-0. I just think Rovers, I mean, I know Charlie might comment on this video, but what has Barton done? How have you got worse since he's taken over? And obviously, you've been saying it for weeks. It looks like you're going to be in League Two this season. Do you even want him to be there next season, or do you want to like roll the dice and try and get another manager? But 2-0 for Portsmouth for me in this one.
It's time for MK Dons versus the Unnamed Football Club.
I think for one time only, I'm going to break away from tradition and not saying the name, and I'm going to say, thank you, Swindon Town, and well done, Swindon Town. You had an amazing win over Portsmouth to keep your hopes of staying up alive. You know, I said I do hope you stay up because I want the derby next season. And you gave Oxford a really good lifeline to beat Portsmouth to hopefully that they could have kicked on and won. But we'll see how they did as we go on. Spoilers, they lost. They couldn't take advantage of it. MK Dons, we talked about how Bristol Rovers are terrible and MK Dons took advantage of that. Solid 2-0 win for them. Dons don't have anything to play for, and Swindon will be hoping the fact that they seemed a bit resurgent. Now, John Sheridan wasn't there, that they can take that momentum into this one and get another priceless win.
Yeah, there's not a lot to be said for MK Dons at this point. They are just kind of playing out the end of the year. They've been really 50-50 to end the year. They had that really good run around mid-season where we thought they'd make the playoffs, and since then, it's goals. They can't find goals and they concede them. So what are you going to say? Swindon, like you said, chance to keep themselves safe. I think they'll really view this as a winnable game. I don't think they're going to get it, though. I think this has 1-1 draw written on it.
Yeah, I may give them a pat on the back and a say well done, but if you think I'm going to be backing them, then you're absolutely wrong. Milton Keynes Dons 2, Swindon Town 1. Gillingham versus Northampton Town.
Big wins for both of these sides, probably highlighted by the Gillingham result, which we've already talked about here. Really big win for them over Peterborough. Ian, how do you see this game playing out?
Yeah, an incredible win for them, really, and again, a much-needed win, and they're still alive in this relegation race. And when I did my review of Oxford Wimbledon last night, I talked about pinpointing moments in the season where you're like, oh, is that the moment where it kind of cost us? I think Gillingham will look back at that Oxford game and say that is the moment, the biggest moment of the season where it cost us, because they inexplicably lost that game, but then they went and beat Peterborough. So if they'd have beat Oxford like they would look like they were doing for like 75% of the game, they would be the ones like right back in the playoff mix. They would be like right on the heels of Charlton. But again, it looks like it might be a bridge too far. I do think the Gills will win this one though. I think they'll get back to just being really solid, and I don't see Northampton scoring a goal. I'm going for 2-0 Gillingham. How
much is everything we say change week to week? By the way, every week it's you're out, you're in. You're out, you're in. Like, it's absolutely nuts. And genuine credit to Northampton Town, because every time we count them out, they come up with a couple random wins out of nowhere.
Well, to be fair, you've counted them out from like week 1.
Yes, correct. So if they get relegated, I was right. And if they stay up, I was wrong. And, flag has been planted. But I'm going for Gillingham win here. I'm going for, let's get exciting, 3-2 to the Gills.
Oh, my word. What an exciting game.
Insanity. Ian, it's time for me to now quickly thank our Patreon backers. We have a Patreon, everybody. If you would like to support the channel, please look on the screen or in the description. There are details. You can support us for as little as £3. I'd like to thank John, PJ, Matt Uranka, Robert Allen, and Matthew Bowden. Thank you to you guys for supporting us. Please check out our Patreon. And before we get on to the next match, please smash the like button and hit subscribe. And now, without further ado, Wigan Athletic versus Burton Albion.
I mean, you've got to start with Wigan, really. 4 wins in a row out of absolutely nowhere. We talked about how they'd hit the form at the right time. We thought they would beat Shrewsbury side that looked pretty much like they just want the season to end. Yeah. And Wigan did the business. 4 points clear now with Northampton and with like Dale. Most of the bottom sides winning apart from Bristol Rovers means they're not quite safe yet, but that 4-point cushion does look pretty good. And those bottom 4 sides, all that they looked at the table and they'd have thought they won that game, and then they're just like, oh bloody hell, gained no ground at all. And a Burton side who, again, very very difficult to beat. Pushed Lincoln all the way, only lost 1-0 to them. So this won't be an easy one. And I think it isn't going to be 5 wins in a row for Wigan. I think that Burton will get a point here. I think it'll be a 2-2 draw.
I'm going a 1-1 draw, but Ian, I hadn't asked this question, but we know I've really enjoyed Jimmy Floyd at Burton and their resurgence. How do you see if they can play as well as they've played this year? And obviously they're not going to win like 7 matches and then lose a couple and then win 7 again or whatever. But do you see them being able to challenge the playoffs next year? Possibly.
I mean, they've been in great form. He's a good manager. He he knows how to get the best out of those players.
Yeah.
And but it'll all be about what he can do in terms of strengthening. I don't know the loan situation at Burton of how many loanees they'll lose, and it's what loanees you can get in, as well as like the budget you'll have to actually sign players. So I would say that they stand in pretty good stead to be more towards their solid as a rock status next season, rather than flirting with relegation like they were for the first half of the year.
Mid-table mediocrity.
Doncaster Rovers versus Fleetwood Town.
Two sides not on great runs of form. Doncaster's playoff run seems to completely run aground, and it seemed to happen to coincide with their victory over Oxford. Ever since then, it's been rocky at best, both at a boardroom and management level, and on the pitch. They lost, but so did their opposition for this game.
Yes, both sides kind of winding down a bit now, haven't they? Not a lot to play for. It's Doncaster really needed to carry on that momentum after that one win they did have, but they ended up losing 2-1 to Accrington Stanley, which means they're 6 points off Charlton. They don't even have any games in hand over Charlton, so it's pretty tall order for them to mount anything, and Fleetwood are even further back than that. Gritty game. I think I'm going to be backing Fleetwood, though. I think that they're looking really solid under Grayson, and I think that they'll grind this one out against the Doncaster side that don't really have a lot of fight left in them. I think it'll be a 2-0 win for Fleetwood.
Fleetwood, seeing goals at that club just seems so hard to me. They're kind of like Brighton, but I do think they can win this game, so I'll go 1-0. Ipswich Town versus AFC Wimbledon.
We will get to Wimbledon, and I promise we will get to Wimbledon. But Ipswich fans, I said this about Doncaster fans a few weeks ago. I hope you're not watching this video, or I hope you're not literally paying attention to any football at the moment, because I think the best thing for you to do is just hibernate for a few weeks, watch the Euros, hibernate again, and then start again in August, because your side has been atrocious and they've given you nothing. And Paul Cook has literally got nothing, a small honeymoon period, and then those players clearly don't care. They're not doing you credit. They are another poor year for Ipswich after it started so well. Losing 3-0 to Northampton is a shocking result. And you come up against one of the form sides in the league. And I've got to tell you, Tom, one of the best sides I have seen Oxford play this season. I'm even going to go that far on it. I thought Wimbledon were really good.
You waxed lyrical about them in your review video, which I'm sure you can check out in one of the corners right now. But Ian, Oxford are known to curse every team that's visited them this season. There's been insane runs of form that every club has had for this, like the last 15 games. That being said, do you see Wimbledon playing well and winning this game? Are they safe now? Do you think they need the points?
Well, they're 5 points clear, so they'll still think they need the points. They're probably safe because they probably will win another game before the end of the season. But I was just impressed with the way they play. When they're on the ball, they look to pass it around. They got some quick players, but they can mix it up. They can go long up to Piggott, and he's a great target man. They're a threat from set pieces and corners. They're pretty organised at the back. I would say, if I'm a Wimbledon fan, if you can keep this squad of players together under this manager, you should be really excited about next season. I think you've got a really good chance of doing well. They really just went. Oh, it was a crazy 2 minutes which swung the game, but they were in that game, and it was 50-50, and they just the ones who took the chances in the end. I think they will. I think they're going to overcome the curse. I'm going to go for a Wimbledon win. I was impressed. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Wimbledon win.
I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw because the curse is alive and well, Mr. Allen.
Could be. Sunderland versus Accrington Stanley.
Is it any surprise to you that Sunderland drew a game of football? I mean, probably the best part was they got 2 goals instead of 1 this time.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be kicking themselves, though, to be 2-0 up, to take the lead twice, and to throw it away twice. That's probably shows the Sunderland fans that they're not at that level to get automatic promotion, which will be a painful pill for them to take. They'll feel they should beat this Accrington side, but they won't be confident about it. Accrington love to upset sides, and I'm sure they've beaten Sunderland at the Stadium of Light before, and they will be going there hopeful that they can do it again. I don't know about you. I'm going to let you go first on this because I think I'm just going to go for classic Sunderland.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Sunderland's season was encapsulated in that result because of their ability to throw away a lead in the second half of a match is just unparalleled. They don't lose, they just constantly let equalizers in, and that was on show again. They could have beaten Hull, they could have shown their credentials, but they didn't. Accrington, big win, but like you said, they'll fancy themselves, but I know what scoreline you're going for. I'm gonna pull for it 2-1 to Sunderland.
Oh yeah, well I'm going for my classic 1-1 draw.
Crewe Alexandra versus Rochdale.
So Rochdale did get a really good win over Blackpool. Amazing win, really. Probably undershadowed, but one of the results of the day. But it's going to be, unfortunately, it looks like a little bit too late, their run. They're still going to have to pretty much win every game to have any chance of survival. And that does not look likely. Crewe continue to be a bit of an enigma in this league. You're never quite sure what you're going to get from them. I don't think many people would have backed them to go to Fleetwood and beat them 2-0, but they did. And considering the form they were on, and I think that they will be. I think that they'll beat Rochdale in this game. I hate to do it. I hate to back against Dale, but I think this could be the one that sends them down. I'm going to go for Crewe 3, Rochdale 1.
You've basically encapsulated everything perfectly. I think Dale are going down as well. I think we've said that since the beginning of the season. I'm going to go for a much closer game, though. I think it's going to be 2-1 to the Crewe.
Blackpool versus Shrewsbury Town.
Now, Ian, both of these teams lost, but the run that Blackpool's have been on is absolutely fantastic. They propelled themselves into a firm playoff place. I think they're pretty safe there as well. I feel like they're 4 or 5 clear of 6th place. They've had a really good run of form. A bit of a shock loss this week. And their opponent, Shrewsbury Town, looked like they'd like the season to end now. Now, Ian, make the season end now. End it now.
Yeah, Shrewsbury are just on that 50-point mark, and it would be interesting to see if Northampton, if they could win the next 2 games, whether all of a sudden Shrewsbury become that side that might sleepwalk into that relegation position, because they look poor and they look like the players don't want to be there, and it's the ones who sleepwalk into it are often the ones who are worse off, because it's difficult to turn the tailspin around. I definitely see Blackpool getting back to winning ways. A freak result for them, but they were probably due a bad result in there after the insane run that they were on, and they do look firmly in the playoff mix and not really going to be pushed out of it. Blackpool to win this one. I'm going to go for a solid 2-0 Blackpool.
I hate to copy you, but it's 2-0 to Blackpool.
Not only have we reached the final match of predictions, but I think it's finally ticked round to that time of the season where you can finally say we're in must-win territory. It's time for the main event.
Oxford United versus Plymouth Green Army Argyle.
A crushing defeat for OUFC at Wimbledon. It was all going so well in a very entertaining game. Josh Ruffles took the lead for Oxford, and it looked like we were just going to kind of manage the game and control it, but a crazy 4 or 5 minutes where Wimbledon had a corner, Oxford couldn't clear it. James Henry saved it on the line with his hand. There was no debate about it. He clearly did it. Penalty to Wimbledon, tucked away by Piggott, and then virtually from the kickoff, Wimbledon go 2-1 up. Oxford couldn't get back into it. As wonderful as the 3-2 win felt against Gillingham, it was almost a complete 180, for how I felt last night on the one against Wimbledon. It was a real big sucker punch. I don't have any criticism of any of the players or any of that. I thought Oxford gave it a really good go. It was just one of those things. They're in a situation now where even if they win these 3 games, it's likely that they're not still going to get into the playoffs. But all they can do is give themselves that chance. All they can do is go out and win them and see where the land lays at the end of it. They're coming up against a Plymouth side who don't have a lot to play for, but they are going to be scarred by that result to Charlton, and they won't want that to linger. But they're not in the best of form. What do you feel will happen in this one, Thomas?
I have to back Oxford in this. It was a real sucker punch, which is unfortunate, as you said, because that's exactly what Oxford had done to Gillingham the week before with their win, and Oxford fans are probably reeling at this point. I don't know why, but I feel like Oxford can put together 3 wins and put themselves in with as good a chance as any. I don't know why. They were on pretty good form coming into the Wimbledon game.
Yeah.
And Plymouth they're not playing for anything at this point, and that 6-0 result kind of showed that. Oxford can, when they want to, put it on. I think they're one of the top 3 or 4 attacking teams in the league, which is so hard to watch because sometimes you're just sat watching Oxford going, where the hell are the goals going to come from? And then they score 9 in 2 games and you go, oh.
Clusters, isn't it? It's a little
That's
cluster
where.
form,
So I'm going to back them in this, but I will let you go first, Ian Allen.
Yeah, I've seen some games where Oxford play sides, and I've seen Oxford be the side who've got nothing to play for, and usually you get like a half of energy out of them. And then as soon as the side who's supposed to win scores, the energy quickly dissipates from the other team. So I'm hoping that is going to be the case. I'd like to see Oxford. Obviously Henry's not going to be playing, so I'd like to see Goran come back in, Brannigan pushed higher up the pitch, playing in midfield with Sykes. I'd like to see Adji play instead of Shadipo. Elliot Lee can carry on the right and Taylor up front on his own. I think Shadipo's form's really fallen off a cliff. He looks a bit tired and jaded. And Adji looks great every time he plays, so I'd like to see him rewarded with a start. I'm going to go for an Oxford victory. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Oxford win.
Jack Stevens to keep a clean sheet, 2-0 to the Yellows. And on that bombshell of a piece of news, we leave you. Please smash the like button if you enjoyed this. If you like our channel, hit subscribe. Comment below with both your predictions and your thoughts. Did we get what we said about your club right? Were we wrong? Sunderland fans, Fleetwood fans, the club that must not be named. Let us know your thoughts. We will be back. Ian is riding solo this week on Saturday with a live stream at 2:45 due to my current work obligation. We will catch you very soon.